Hello humans, February 26th, it's after 4 in the afternoon, heading outbound. Had been in a number of vet offices all day with my other dog who has a case of adult parvo. She tests positive for parvo, and so we've had to do some treatment here. And our other dog may have had parvo as well as the lepto. We just don't know. It's just not possible to determine that now. Anyway, though, heading home. What a long damn day. Started off at about 6 on all of this. Anyway, I thought to address a few issues here and a little bit of a chat on the way back. Doggo's lying down and is comfortable now after all this treatment crap. Poor girl. Anyway, so basically everything's pretty fucked up. Socially, economically, politically, environmentally, industrially, right? And we can repair a lot of this very rapidly once we get rid of the mother weffers. The weff just has to go. Their whole and we know who they are now. Everybody knows this. So it's gratifying to me to be able to see the number of instances, or to see some of, I don't see all of them, of course. I'm not like Phil Godlewski. I don't have any super powerful, fantastic fantasy software that shows me millions of views when there's really only 40,000. But I don't have the software to look at all of them, but I do see a number of instances where people are discussing the idea of what to do when and if things here in the U.S. go kinetic in terms of the purple-haired people in the Democrat cities. And I'm not going to try and other than if they get in my way, mess with the invaders themselves. I'm going to head right off and take care of some of the elites, some of the L-lights. And this is very nice. I've got a lot of people in Europe that are saying, hey, we're real close to going and having an assault on Davos, and going and taking over the Rothschild mansions and castles, and going and taking over Klaus Schwab's house. And the French are really starting to get into it now, walling up the politicians' houses so they can't get in and out of them. That kind of shit needs to start here in the U.S., and then we'll know that or when that stuff starts here, when people start assaulting the houses of the politicians, as well as the low-level politicians, like all the county commissioners, all the school counselor or school guys, the school admin people, those kind of thing. City councils, county councils, all of these sorts of things, right? Where all the infiltrators that have been paid for by George Soros are doing their work now. And so when we become like France, when those people start finding that when they go home, there's a giant pile of manure sprayed all over their house or dumped on their front door, that sort of thing, right? Then we're into AmRev 2 or Global Rev 1, depending on how you want to think about it. That is coming. That will occur. Some point thereafter, which would probably be fall or next winter, when it gets really, really, really ugly. And this is assuming that enough of the minion classes decide to stand up with the WEF and fight for the WEF. So if the police here in the United States or the military in the United States starts siding with the globalists, and then the populace is going to have this extra hard level of response. And if that occurs, which I would suspect it would occur in fall if it does, because these guys are going to run out of steam in whatever the WEF is going to do, whatever the globalists are going to do here in the United States, they'll end up doing it before September, right? So it'll be in before the end of September. It'll be in August and September that they'll be running the whatever kind of scams and games and shit they're going to be playing relative to the global situation and what the populace is doing. So if they do that, then the hard response from the populace will be to go and like break into their houses and take their shit, right? So, town councilman that, voted for sanctuary cities and all of this kind of shit, he'll have his house broken into, his cars taken, his house looted, all of this kind of shit. It will occur. They'll do it to people at low levels of functionary, right? So there will be a lot of disconcerting, a lot of kinetic kind of violent reaction to the whatever the WEFers do in August and September that will lead into this period of time where, like I say, if they do it, right, this is not yet chiseled in stone, so we don't know if they'll actually do that. But if they actually go ahead and do it, then the response from that will occupy months, and it'll go through fall and into winter of 2024. And we'll see you'll see city council offices being taken over. You'll see city council. Those will usually, I think, spring from city council meetings that get really raucous, and then everybody votes them out in the spot right there, to the point where these people flee the meeting and basically surrender their positions and stuff by doing so, right? By abrogating their responsibility, and they'll flee, and then people are just going to take over their offices. There will be mass chaos. Maybe there will be some voting, but there's going to be a lot of mob action. And it'll just be really, really, really pissed off citizens. That, as I say, this is a we don't know if it's going to occur kind of a forecast, right? We have hints in our data that this is the case, but we don't know that the mother WEFers will actually be that stupid to attempt this. But it's going to be just fascinating, because as we get further into 2024, more of the revolution is going to be coming out. And it's going to involve all kinds of stuff. So I suspect this is going to be the worst tax collection record in history, right? Worst tax collecting year in history relative to the amount of money that they think they can get out of us and the amount of money that people will actually be sending in and willing to send in. So it's going to get just really very interesting. And then we get into the space aliens. That's a secondary issue too. Okay, so we've got a lot of activity in March. April is going to be some big economic problems, and a lot of emotional issues in April, whereas March is going to be much more like violent, quick emotional reactions. April will be long-suffering release language that's slowly getting put out there, right? So that we're slowly getting into some of the release language there, not explosive and so on. May is going to be really, really interesting on a lot of different levels. So we expect that there will be some level of, let's say, back channel agent activity in May. All right. So we're going to see. Hang on, I'm going to do some tricky driving propane trucks and freeway being worked on. Anyway, and so in May we're going to see the results. We won't necessarily see the back channels, right? You may see something really weird come up, and it'll just be what is the apparent face on some form of back channel kind of stuff that has to be or that for whatever reason rises to visibility. But we will see the results of it. So I think that there will be changes in May that you just won't be able to put down to anything because there won't be any mainstream media lead up to it, right? There won't be any discussion. All of a sudden, whatever, this whole city council will just resign, or large numbers of local state representatives and stuff will just decide, nope, not running, nope, not going to do that again. And so all of a sudden there will be a big scramble to find new candidates and to get their shit together at a political level to get them on the ballot kind of thing in short notice. And that will occur over these next few months. So part of the issue will be these people will be shocked and will make decisions over these next few months that will then cause the party to have to scramble to get their shit together to get replacements. That would, by the way, that would be a good time to be an infiltrator, to stand up as a Democratic candidate and mouth all the right words until they get you elected, that kind of thing, right? Because they're not going to be able to check a lot of shit. Just because they'll be scrambling all over for all these various different levels of people. We may even see some blue state governments basically not collapse, but sort of a balloon softening up because some of the air is out, that sort of thing, where they're not able to have elected officials. And so they're going to have a real problem. Part of the whole government thing will start falling away. Now, there's a lot of suggestions that we're going to have our major stock market crash in April. Okay. It's not. All right. So it's not, insofar as I can tell from our data, the giant generalized crash of the currency itself, okay? It is, in a sense, because as the stock market crashes, we're going to see the cryptos, Bitcoin and all this kind of stuff really, really soar. So insofar as Bitcoin is concerned, it has a relationship that we've been able to determine, and I've done most of the work on it, so I'm not going to blame anybody else when it craps out. And it will crap out. But right at the moment, there's a pattern going that suggests that, oh yeah, you can look at Bitcoin's action relative to these other minor cryptos, and you plot Bitcoin against these other minor cryptos, and you get a view of the progress of Bitcoin, its potential in order to be able to forecast price activity. And so there is this relationship. The relationship so far is held. I've examined this relationship back a few years, went back into 2021 with it, and then did a spot check on 2018, and it does appear to hold. It's not like 100% for sure kind of thing. It is just more consistent than not. So in 2018, it was very, very consistent. Then in 2021, it was slightly less consistent. But now it's back to being relatively consistent. And so we're able to say that at the moment, it appears as though Bitcoin is doing what the E-Wave guys call building a floor. Okay, it's in the flooring mode, and so the idea is that Bitcoin is going to go bounce around up and down, up and down, up and down, in between 51 and 52,000, and that will be the floor somewhere in there. It'll be this point of support, they call it. And then after that support, it's going to take a very large rise in a bull market activity. So now you have to understand that the only reason there exists a bull market ever in anything has to do with the illegal and ephemeral nature of fiat currencies. And so bull markets only exist because of central banks and the wonkiness of a fiat currency. You don't get bull markets, nor do you get busts in hard money economies. They just don't behave that way. You don't have the levels of speculation that we do now, obviously. And in a sound money economy, you have investments pay off, but you just simply don't have speculation the way we've got it now, right? So speculation entirely exists as an artifact of them being able to create money out of nothing and have vast quantities of money with which to speculate. If you're in a hard money economy, it takes you a hard scramble to gather money, so you're not out there speculating with it, right? This is what's going to destroy the markets, is going to a hard money economy. Structure globally is the lack of a fiat currency global reserve that they can manipulate. Once that is gone, then the entire Elohim worship cult, which is to say the entire Jewish component of the globalistas, of the global cabal, the entire rabbinically directed cult that is using Judaism as a cover on this, it goes away. It won't have any power. It's going to crash and it's going to burn and it is going to be pissed. These people are going to freak out because they won't have the central bank to manipulate and stuff, right? And so under the circumstances, as the fiat currency dies and the Jewish influence is removed, thereafter, nobody's going to give a shit about the Jews, right? Who cares about them? They won't have any money. They won't be able to do anything. They don't know how to do hard work. They're basically, ever since the Elohim had chosen them to be their middle-level managers of the human herd, these guys have always only been organizational people. So it's going to be a very interesting period of time this year and next year and the year after, because it's going to take a while. There will be big episodic upticks in activity, and then periods of restrained activity, and then periods of quiescence, sort of a pause almost, and there we go. So now, getting back to that other aspect, it's interesting to note that organizational Jewish kind of things like rabbinical councils, the Chabad organization, the Lubavitches, all of these guys, all of the Loxism dominated Jewish being singled out. They're being identified now. So you can go on to the Tor network, which is the other part of the internet that most people don't ever go to, which is they call it the dark web or the deep web, whatever. But you can go there and you see that people are already now putting out the addresses of all of these Jewish centers that they suspect are. Bear in mind, Israel is the largest seller of body parts on the planet. And most of them are probably taken from people in Gaza, right? So they sell more body parts than they have population to provide them. Israel's not that densely populated. Also, it's a very diverse spread of genotypes and phenotypes of body parts that Israel is selling. So, they're going to be in just a huge world of hurt as the fiat currency drops away, and we go to this new hard money world. It'll take something. Okay, so it could happen here in the United States relatively quickly, because all it is political will to start over with constitutional money. And so the first person that comes on in with the political will to say, okay, we're doing this, and it happens. All of a sudden it'll start happening, and then everything very rapidly returns. So we have the Elohim worship cult assault on Germany that begins in 1909, and by by 1928, the assault on Germany, all of the ultra queering, the cabaret society, the gender bending, and all of this kind of stuff started in 1909 in Germany, but by 1928 it had gotten so egregious that it forced the Germans to, in order to get out from underneath that, to try and protect their culture, it forced them to choose the National Socialists, which brought in Hitler, and about a third of his upper staff are Jews. Okay, so about a third of the people in the upper staff of Hitler's organization were Jewish, and they were the ones that set up the camps. They were the ones that identified all the Jews to go to the camps. And but this year, it will become evident to everybody that they have this problem, that we do indeed have a hard money system evolving, and that puts the kibosh on all of this. Jewish influence goes to shit, right? They lose their positions in the social order. Now, in our social order, we have people right now that are out there identifying as potential targets, rabbinical councils. And they're writing about this stuff, so-and-so, we think he's, this particular rabbi, he was charged with, and they get into the details, and you can go and investigate it. Sure enough, they're not fucking around. They've got legit stuff there. But this particular rabbi out of Minneapolis, I think it was, in that area, was charged with and then he's let off and all charges are dropped, right? And he resigns his position as rabbi, and he's put under house arrest for 4 months, and then he moves out of the state. And that was the solution. But now they've identified that the guy has moved into southern New York state, and so people are saying, hey, watch out for this guy, not convicted for the rabbis, really, not so much for the Jews themselves, because rabbis try and keep it to themselves. But in any event, so all this is going to come unglued here this year. A lot of this shit's going to be exposed, and we're just about a couple of weeks from getting into major exposure. Maybe it'll be the first week here in March, right? That we'll start getting hit with some fairly large data dumps about the infiltrators and all the shit they've been doing. And that'll continue through March, April, May, etc. Sometime, I think in May, is when we get into activity. I don't know where it's going to come from, relating to the data about space aliens and UFOs. And then that'll grow all through May, June, July, etc., and keep growing through the rest of the year, as will the number of instances of people seeing these things. And at some point, and it appears in the data sets that it may be at sort of the dog days of summer and the mid-August kind of a time frame, but we're going to get the data sets are describing an incident where people are out for some kind of entertainment, and it's outdoors. So I don't. It doesn't appear that there's stadium. None of the stadium isn't mentioned, but I don't know what the conditions or the topographical conditions are going to be. But it just appears to be like maybe it's an outdoor concert. It might be like car races, some kind of summer entertainment on an organized level gets a really spectacular UFO visit. And I don't know if it's here in the States. There's just no way of identifying the geolocation of this thing, given the amount of data and what I have to go through to do my limited data harvesting. So I just can't say where it will be, but the descriptions are of several thousands of people that are sitting outside and dusk or dark conditions, and they see a very spectacular UFO show, right? And it's not drones, it's real UFOs, and the upshot is that we get like thousands of people that have videoed this thing and put it online. So there's many different views of it, and many different reports of it. And apparently it's going to be, quite the entertaining little bit of whatever, right? I don't know how we're going to describe this, but the UFOs will be viewed, discussed, videoed, put up online, viewed some more, and discussed some more, right? So it's going to be a big kind of a thing. There have been a lot of UFO sightings and activity in Asia recently and in the Pacific. So maybe we're looking at something that's going to be Asia-centered or Pacific Ocean-centered. But nonetheless, the data sets are still telling us that there will be thousands of people in an evening. So it's it's like after 4 in the afternoon, before like too dark, so before like 10 or 11. But that kind of a thing, right? So people out doing something, they go for whatever reason, and then they're treated to this UFO show. Everybody's got their cameras, and they videotape it. And in addition to that, we're going to have several other instances of anomalous activity that will get some level of video out. Now, some of this stuff, I think, is going to be like something akin to what happened with the Miami Mall. So we're getting, sort of space alien boots on the ground kind of data sets for at least a couple of instances before we get into winter. So we're looking at something that's, and again, it's after midsummer that we start getting these indicators. I really should have stopped, but I've got to get the doggo home. I have things here in the town I could have done, but it's late in the day and everybody needs to eat, and the poor dog's had a hellacious day. We both have. Anyway, so it'll be fun for me to get into the UFO kind of crud. I'm still working to try and figure out a way to get my floaty RV here, right, to go recreational vehicle anti-gravity floating around the planet and doing stuff. But in any event, though, a lot of indications that we'll be seeing more language around ultra-high frequency electrics, okay? And that this is going to be the new area, right? The new area of interest for all kinds of people. And it's going to be car makers, everybody's going to be getting into this. So pretty soon, and I don't know how many years it'll be, but maybe it's 5 years out, maybe it's 10 years out, and we'll have these little prototypes and then finally the functioning units of basically vibration engines, what we can call like ZPT or 0 point. Is that a bank robbery? What the hell's going on there? Cops, flashy lights, all in front of a bank. Well, I'm not going to get too close to it, so hopefully. Yeah, it's all right, sweetie. We'll get you back home, don't worry. Anyway, so that'll be our new direction, is this new science of ultra high frequencies and electricity and all different kinds of vibration and other things. Boy, what else? Okay, so there's going to be data dumps. I was looking through some of this stuff last night, trying to figure out what's going to happen with my buddy Joe, who the data says is going to just get, stank ass famous. And we don't know why, but it's from something he does. So, and he's a good guy, so it's going to be good. But anyway, I was just looking to see if there were any hints in there as to what's going to happen for him. And we went through and I started looking through all the cross-link data and looking into the sets and started coming up on a lot of these. So we're going to have weather issues. I suspect that we'll have sort of like the whole climate scam, the whole climate crisis scam is going to get some real shit this as we get into spring and summer, where you, like right now, I'm getting snow and hail and that kind of stuff. We'll have anomalous kind of weather all through this year. That's they can maybe claim climate crisis, but it's not global warming. It's not reduction of water or any of that kind of stuff, and there's nothing that humans can do about it. It's all the activity of the sun, so really no point in attempting to do anything, right? We can't control the planet. We don't alter it. That's a bunch of horseshit that the mother weffers came up trying to sell their scam to control us all. They want to make you sick. These resets every 100 years. They want to keep you sick so that they can control you. And they figure, there's too many people. They're not going along with it now. And so then they decided to make the planet sick and then to make you think that you were responsible for the planet, and therefore they would have control because they could control you by saying, oh, you're making the planet sick. A bunch of horseshit, right? Anyway, major snowstorm here. So, all right, so, okay, so, lots of activity, lots of sudden violent kind of outbursts in March, and then we go through to economic kind of crashy shit in April, and we're going to get into the real chaos of everything in May, and then it's just going to get a lot worse from that point on. But in the process of becoming more chaotic, if you wanted to look and you knew where to look, you would actually see resolution for some long-standing problems starting to emerge. So May should be, even though it's in the midst of vast quantities of chaos and all kinds of shit's going down, it should be such that we'll be able to see some progress, some positive change, which is good. People are going to need that. Now, a lot of the emotional delta that we're waiting to have manifest, which has been basically hanging on since last September, August really, appears to be in the works for these first few weeks in March. So there's going to be something that comes out in terms of data that's going to be at least gripping enough to involve a large percentage of the population with it, so that these people will pay attention to whatever the hell is in this, right? And so it's, we know that Obama is a traitor. Bush and all these people ahead of him were traitors, and they rigged up the whole system to spy on Trump using foreign intelligence services, right? So this is a major problem. I'm of the opinion that we're also, as a result of the fiat currency going down, going to see the it'll be broken up or split up or whatever the fuck. But this is a change that's obviously some distance off. The Federal Reserve Bank will go about the same time. We'll get rid of both of them about the same time. But in any event, whatever information is going to be coming out is likely to kick us up into that higher level of release language to reach that delta and sort of clear a lot of the building tension that we're going to be getting into here fairly rapidly with this release of information, whatever the hell it is, right? We just don't know what it is or what it's going to be relating to. And then probably in summer, we'll see some level of food riots on the East Coast, and the liberation of the UFO documents should occur about that time. And we'll see how that goes. These will be documents that will be released from federal government coffers where they've been hiding all of the secret stuff. And also, along in this mix, we're going to get to the point where we're now going to start getting disclosure from corporations. So you'll start seeing leaks that will appear from corporations about their involvement with UFOs. So, going to be a very interesting time, and it's going to really start affecting everybody. Like I say, I'm of the opinion that people need to start growing food as much as you can. And if you have the ability to grow, really good tomatoes, well, you grow a lot of extra tomatoes and you use them to trade for cucumbers or whatever, right? And so it's that kind of a situation where we're going to need the calories because of the impacts on the farmers of all of the mother weffers and their kind of shit. Now, we'll see that level of farmers' revolt hit here in the United States, but it's not going to be necessarily people driving all their tractors to the city center of the state capital kind of a deal, right? There are different ways of protesting here in the United States because we're so strung out. In Europe, each of the countries are so relatively so small that you can do that. You can drive your tractor a couple of 100 miles and go to the state capital. But, you're not going to be driving your tractor from Oregon over to Washington, D.C. Anyway, guys, that's about it. I got to get serious about my driving and getting us home. And it's been a long day, and my voice is starting to get out a little bit. There we go, sweetie. We're okay. Okay, anyway, take care. I'll see about doing another talk later this week after I've gotten into some more of the data, if I get a chance at it. My office is just terribly trashed. I mean, snow coming in, that kind of a deal. So it's not really conducive to sitting out there and doing a lot of work. Anyway, okay. All right, talk to everybody later.